What is going on? I've been playing cricket all morning. I leave. I think, I'll just come back and watch the last ascent of Wollonga. It'll be back together. 8.8 k's to go, 2-minute 34 gap with a large group ahead of them. 2 minutes 34, and we're now coming up to, they're coming up to the base of the second climb of Wollonga. Could Richie lose overall GC to, who's the best placed in this group? Joey Roscop. So he's 58 seconds ahead of Richie. Richie will have to put a minute 30 into him from here to win. This is crazy. Sorry, it's so hot in Australia. I've been playing cricket this morning. I tried to get back as quickly as possible, but the game ran on for a little bit. It's a tradition we do. Some of my old school friends. But what do you think is going to happen as they're turning left now? They just had a really quick descent, and that's the thing with Wollonga, is that because the descent is so quick off the back of Wollonga that they do, and if you're in a reasonable group, the peloton's not really going to catch you because no one's really pedaling. So obviously Trekker on the front right now trying to control affairs. Wait, Trekker on the front. So Trek sharing it with Mitchell and Scott. What would you do if you were Trek? Would you just say, hey, you got Luke Durbridge with you right now. Why don't you put the Australian National Individual Time Trial Champion on the front, or have they been splitting duties? Obviously, I haven't been watching the entire stage today. It's Australia Day here in Australia. The time it is right now is 1:24 p.m. Brisbane time. It's 7.8 kilometres to go with a 2-minute 24 gap. Has this happened in recent history in Wollonga? I know usually there's a break that makes it to the first climb, away from the main peloton, but a group this large, I don't know, this is crazy with a 2-minute 21 gap. Like, why did Mitchelton and Trek expect the break to get brought back more on the first climb? Have Mitchelton, Scott and Trek been looking at each other, and instead of sharing the pace-making duties, have they been looking at each other and not bringing back that break? Obviously Mitchelton Scott, when it was go time yesterday, brought back that break very quickly. Before the climb of Kirby Hill, they really reeled in Mads Pedersen, but it wasn't as large a group now. And it's a genuine 2 minutes. I just did a count back from the overhead shot on the helicopter. The gap is correct. 2 minutes 15, 7 kilometres left. Okay, so how long is the Wollonga climb? I know Richie is going to absolutely torch it, and I don't think... The thing is, even if they catch them, and they... So say Joey Roscop finishes 30 seconds ahead of the main peloton and on Wollonga, well, that means the time bonuses will probably go as well. So that means for Richie Port to win, he has to gap Daryl Impey by a good 3 to 4 seconds. It'd be interesting to see if he can do that. So Trekker are the only ones been working. That's kind of weird. Like, it's still Mitchelton Scott's race to lose. Like, if Joey Roscop, he's going to win the King of the Mountains jersey, if I'm not mistaken, unless he gets brought back and Richie Port gets the... no, but Roscop maybe has got some intermediate com points. But, yeah, it really should be Mitchelton Scott sharing it as well. Sorry, let me just share the fact that I am, in fact, live for the end of Wollonga. And I want to say as well, thank you yesterday. I was really surprised during that 2-hour stream. We've got a much shorter stream today. It's going to be probably only gone for another 10 minutes. Thanks very much for those people who... I didn't ask for it initially. Those donations and stickers, that was crazy. I couldn't believe that happened, but really appreciative of it regardless. So KDA says that com is over, so Roscop, I presume, has sewn up the com jersey. Bahrain McLaren, what have they done today, man? And I'm looking now at the peloton with 5.9 k's to go. They brought the gap down to 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Cameron Meyer and the Mitchelton boys, they're kind of sitting mid-pack. I know they're mid-pack around Impey, and they got other guys on the front, but really this should be panic. Maybe this is why I shouldn't be a DS or involved in cycling strategy, but I think this should really be panic stations, everyone full, at the front. Although they're now bringing back, is this the straggling group of Greipel and co? Is this the sprinters that got dropped on the first edition of Wollonga? I think it is. So this is not the main group with Ross Kopf and Luke Rowe, I don't think. He's got Luis Leon Sanchez in it. Yeah, it's not that group. So Roscoff is he's virtual GC leader, right? Yeah, virtual leader on the road by 58 seconds. So Michelin Scott need to bring him back by a full minute in the next 5Ks. And I don't know what his time was on the first time up Willunga. Did he look pretty fresh? Can someone let me know in the live chat? With 5.3Ks, 5.2Ks to go. Did Roscoff, was he looking really good on the first ascent of Willunga? On my actual stream, which is a little bit, I think, behind Pro Cycling Stats, my actual stream, I'm at 5.1 kilometers. It's probably like a 20-second delay, and they're bringing the gap down very quickly now. It's now at 149, so it's now looking a little bit better for Michelin Scott, and this is going to be super exciting. 4.9 Ks to go, 145 the gap. It's coming down almost a second every 10 seconds, maybe quicker, and I think it depends on the condition of Roscoff on this climb. I mean, that'd be crazy if the American for CCC could really steal the podium win. The way this gap is coming down so quickly, I think Michelin Scott, I'm not sure who's pulling right now exactly for Michelin Scott, but I think it might be Luke Durbridge or Jack Bauer, one of those two guys. They're obviously very strong and maybe a little bit fresher than the guys in the break. And yeah, this gap is coming down super quick. So it depends as well how quick Richie can go up Willunga or Impey can go up Willunga. Who do you think? Comment in the live chat right now. I want to see it. Comment in the live chat who is going to win the GC, because I actually don't know. I think Richie Port is going to win GC. I think he's going to gap Impey enough on this climb. I think they're going to catch the break. It's 4.5 Ks to go, and we've got this long shot in McLaren Vale. At the front, you can see, but that sort of foreshortens the distance, but the gap is coming down very, very quickly. Yeah, the gap, as Jack W says, the gap is getting shredded right now, as you're all saying in the live chat. Adrian Gall says 48 seconds is what Roscoff needs to win. Lucas Kashvili says, watching now for 2 hours, this is 500% more exciting than race than I ever imagined. Yeah, I guess I missed a little bit, but it seems like I've joined at the best time, and the breakaway is actually starting to disintegrate. So 4 kilometers to go. Who's Luke Rowe and Jonas Rouge have gone education first rise. Jonas Rouge, and he's the German. They're no GC threat. They've tried to break away, I guess, for the stage win. Luke Rowe's working pretty hard. Maybe is Rowe and Dennis, are they a threat for podium on GC anymore? It feels like they missed their opportunity yesterday. And Roscoff, I'm just looking at Roscoff right now, the CCC rider, 3.7 Ks to go. He's looking behind, and it's him on the front being sort of, it's his responsibility, it looks like, to chase down Jonas Rouge and Luke Rowe. And he's got his hands on the hoods, and I'm not sure he's looking 100% fresh. The jersey's undone. So, yeah, he's cooked. He's cooked, his head sagging. I think Roscoff is cooked. So it's going to be Port versus Impey, in my opinion, right now. Who's that? Number 6 for Michelin Scott just pulled off. So they had Michael Hepburn, I think. Michael Hepburn was pulling just then. 3.4 Ks to go. The gap is 1:06. I think it could even be less than that. And the time is not reacting quickly enough. 3.4 Ks to go. This peloton is... Where's the Oka jersey? It looks like the other FDJ in the middle. George Bennett with Jumbo Visma on the left-hand side. UAE Emirates got their rider as well in the middle. And the Koenig Quickstepper there as well. Education first on the right-hand side. So stage win is still up for grabs if anyone, I guess... If anyone has the kick to match Richie or Impey up Willunga. We haven't seen it for years and years and years. I made a video a while ago about how to beat Richie Port on Willunga Hill. I'm not sure that Yates and Impey will be able to work enough together to make that happen. Beetlejuice Green says 105 gap. I've got a live stream, yes, AUA. 1 min gap with 2.9 Ks to go. I think I got my stream is 3 kilometers to go exactly, 1 minute and 7. So I'm probably a little bit behind you guys. If you want to pause it, if you want, for the delay. But the Trek guys have now disappeared from the front of the peloton, and I can't see where Richie Port is. We've got Muthkol on the right hand side, the Danish rider. UAE guys just finished his turn. Jumbo Visma, maybe Jumbo Visma are trying to set up George Bennett, see what he can do, try and get him on the podium, unless he's way behind on GC. And Jonas Rouge has attacked Luke Rowe and Willunga with 2.9 Ks to go. 1 minute exactly now, the gap. This has, I think, been the most exciting last 2 stages of the Tour Down Under for quite a while. Yesterday was low-key a super exciting race with the breakaway up the road on that hill, Hamilton shredding it, and then the sprinters catching back on. And we also saw that Caleb Ewan, which has sort of gone under the radar, his beef with Jasper Philipsen. So the Tour Down Under has been super interesting, but right now it's Jumbo-Visma pulling pretty hard on the peloton, and they're shredding it. It's getting shredded pretty badly. Obviously, Richie will be up there. I can't see him exactly, and I can't see Impey in the Yoka jersey, but it says to me 2.6 kilometers to go, 49 seconds. So this gap is being brought down really quickly. And from what I briefly saw of Roskopf, his body language coming into the climb, he didn't look that good. And I don't think this gap is 49 seconds either. I just saw the helicopter shot with 2.5 Ks to go, and it looks like a 25 to 30 second gap to me. So I just had some Coke Zero hydrating. I'm glad I made it back in time for this. I'm just seeing the helicopter shot panning. Can you see where the Yoka jersey is? It's so difficult to see where the Yoka jersey is with Bahrain McLaren's jersey. It's so difficult to see. Like, where is Port? Can you see where Port is? So Darryl Impey's quite a way back. He's obviously got number 1 on the back. I got 2.3 Ks to go, 43 seconds. Port's now being brought up by that Trek rider. I'm not sure who the Trek guy is, leading him up, bringing him up. The pace looks to be pretty on. Antoine Tolherk, the Jumbo-Visma rider, he's a young climber. He looked to be in difficulty as well. I'm not sure if he was pulling a turn, but I don't think this gap is 42 seconds. I think it's less than that. And I got 2.2 Ks to go, 42 seconds. The Sunweb rider, Michael Storer, I think it is, the Australians actually taking up the pace. Jonas Rouge looks really cooked. What do we think is going to happen? Is Port too far back and he's burnt his bickies? He had to do a fair bit of work yesterday. And he mentioned, as we saw in the crosswind chaos with Mitchell and Scott trying to drop him in the crosswinds yesterday, we saw Port had to do a fair bit of work on that stage 5. Closing gaps himself on the flat and defending on the climb as well, although he was good on the climb. Look at the overhead shot now. Darryl Impey's cooked. Darryl Impey's cooked. It's over. It's all over. Port's 1 GC. 2.2 Ks to go, 41 seconds. This is over. Simon Yates is sitting on Richie Port's wheel, but I'm not sure if it's Kenny Elizondo who's pulling, but yep. Darryl Impey's been dropped and this is all over. He's been gapped, so he might even lose podium. I'm not sure who else is on the podium. It's Robert Power, or is he nowhere near? But yeah, Darryl Impey's lost the wheel completely, and it's 1.8 Ks to go, so there's still a fair bit left, and Trek are pulling really hard on the front, and Richie looks good. Richie looks like he's set up, and this is as the King of Wollonga. Although an acceleration is coming from the right-hand side from Antoine Tolherk, who I just mentioned, the Jumbo-Visma rider. He's coming over the top of Kenny Elizondo, who is the Trek rider, the former Ineos domestic. He's pulled off. Antoine Tolherk, 1.7 Ks to go, 31 seconds. Chasing the break. Tolherk's pulling really hard. It's actually gapped Port a little bit, but I think Port is looking to see if anyone else wants to close the wheel to Tolherk, because Tolherk's no threat to him, I don't think, on GC. Obviously, Port probably wants some bonus seconds. Simon Yates is glued to Richie Port's wheel, and Darryl Impey's lost GC now completely. So it's really whether Simon Yates can attack and put 12 seconds into Richie. I don't think that's possible right now. So as Richie Tolherk pulls off, Richie's now on the front, not going full gas. He's waiting to see if someone will attack him or accelerate. He's looking behind him. This is so good. Obviously, they've caught the Roskopf group, and 1.4 Ks to go, 27 seconds. This is popping off. Michael Storer is looking pretty good up front, but Port is accelerating. Port's, I think, just trying to keep the tempo high. 1.3 Ks to go, 26 second gap now. Port's trying to keep the tempo high just to make it hard for Yates to attack, and that's sensible. I mean, we've only got probably 1.2 Ks to go. That means he's got, what, 2 minutes more effort, maybe 2 minutes, 10 seconds more effort. As long as he keeps the pace high, I really don't see how Yates can do anything to him now, and they're catching up the Jonas Rouge and the stragglers from the breakaway, and it looks like another... Oh, it's telling me the 1.1 Ks to go. It looks like Simon Yates has been dropped by Port. The camera, Pro Cycling Stats, has told me with 1.1 kilometers to go, Simon Yates has been dropped by Richie Port. Port now attacks again. This is what we see from Port all the time. He does like a double attack. So he'll attack. Contador does it as well. And Ian was just telling me 1K to go, 23 seconds, and Yates is dropped. So Richie Port, King of Wollonga again, just like he drew it up, or we all drew it up. We knew it was going to happen, but as he goes under the Flamme Bleu, it's exciting nonetheless. That breakaway still had 2 minutes 30. When I sat down and finished my burrito, that breakaway still had 2 minutes 30 with only like 8Ks to go. But Mitchell and Scott I guess Mitchell and Scott played themselves. Mitchell and Scott were worried, right, about Rosskopf winning on GC, which Rosskopf's now been mega dropped. Mitchell and Scott pulled really hard, and then I guess, and now Port's passing everyone else. Man, Port is so good on these sort of climbs, which surprises me that he doesn't win more races like this during the main European calendar. With, being able to smash and destroy a 3 kilometer 7% climb, really useful skill, and for a lot of finales. Like, why doesn't Richie Port do better in races like Giro de Lombardia? He's able, literally no one can hold his wheel up Wollonga and haven't been able to for like 5 years, right? Up Paracombe too, a shorter climb. Why can't Richie Port do better on Giro de Lombardia? After 7 saying Port lost. What are you talking about? Richie's won. This is all over. Port won, as usual. Daryl Impey's been mega, gapped. I'm not even sure if Daryl Impey... I think Simon Yates is going to overtake Daryl Impey on GC. It's always funny when you see Richie now, 400 metres left. The riders that have been in the breakaway trying to hold on to his wheel, and I think it flattens off. Does it flatten off a little bit? But yeah, this is... I think Richie's put like 5, maybe 10 seconds into Yates. I can't even see them in the picture. And big win for him. Big win for Trek. That Trek kit's grown on me. I really like the Trek Segafredo kits. And is he going for stage win, or is someone... He's got the Lotto Soudal riders. So Matthew Holmes, the Lotto Soudal riders attacked him, and it looks like he's going to win the stage. But Port's got GC sewn up. Matthew Holmes actually is the winner of the stage. The British rider from Lotto Soudal comes across first. Richie Port second. He still gets the time bonuses. Astana rider third. I want to see they're not showing me the main finish. I want to see the count back to see how many seconds Richie got. But it looks like he put at least 10 seconds. Yeah, it looks to me like at least 10 seconds into Impey, and well, I still can't see Daryl Impey wherever he is. Simon Yates, 10 seconds into Simon Yates. Impey's way, I think 15 to 20 into Daryl Impey. So GC for Richie, very exciting finish. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen with Richie Port for the rest of this season? Do you think Richie could contend in Grand Tours? I don't think so. I think Richie should focus on more... I think he should focus on more things like test out how would he go in Giro de Lombardia, how would he go in Tirreno, races like that. I think he'd do really well. But yeah, he wins Tour Down Under again, wins on Wollonga again. We're going to look at his Strava profile when he uploads that ride later today. Unfortunately, he doesn't put his power data up, but because that'd be pretty interesting. Kyle Shipton says in the live chat 30 seconds on Daryl Impey. 30 seconds. So that was not as close as last year. Why was he able to put such a big difference into Daryl Impey? I don't know. Demandra says Port will probably do well in Romandie and Catalonia. I think so. He could do well in races like that. I'm not sure what his confirmed race calendar is. Let's have a look. It might say what his next races are. It says that. So this is Richie Port's calendar for the rest of the year, or for the rest until about June. Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, probably won't do too well there. Tour Cycliste International de Varet des Alpes Maritimes, don't know what that is. Is that a one-day race? Paris-Nice, Tour de Romandie, Critérium de Dauphiné, and Tour de France. So he's doing the same sort of schedule that he has previously. Whether that will be successful for him, I'm not sure. Banshee 88TK says Richie's the poor man's Alaphilippe. I don't think so. They're very different riders, I think. So I don't think they're very similar at all. Matthew K says Impey wasted a lot of energy on sprints and it added up. And I think that's right. Yeah, that's the hidden cost. It sounds so simple, right? It sounds so simple to just, go and get the intermediate sprints and they'll add up cumulatively. And once you've got all the sprints, you add up all those, and maybe Richie, who's a climber, won't contest them. And then, the onus will be on Richie to beat you. But the thing is, yeah, sure, if that gives you a 5 to 10 second gap, which is, Impey only had 3 seconds or 2 seconds on Richie. But if that means you're cooked by the time you get to the last climb at Wollonga and Richie's a lot fresher, then you get Impey, like 30 seconds on Wollonga, that's a big difference. Like, that's a pretty big difference on a climb that's not particularly long and not that steep either. So, Port doing what Port does. Ronald Salguera says Richie is a top 20 GC at Tour de France. Maybe. I mean, if that's your goal, I guess. I don't know. Like, is top 20 Tour de France, is that a thing? Top 20 GC at Tour de France? Do the sponsors say thank you? Thank you for top 20 at Tour de France. I'm really grateful for all that. You know, like, there's people who've come 8th, 6th at Tour de France. You know, like, Louis Mainches came top 10. I think he came 6th or 7th in Tour de France. So, like, that's winning races matters. Getting on podiums matters. Even if they're not the Tour de France, I think it's better to get on the podium and win races otherwise. Leo Directive TV, Leo. Since Richie Porte becomes the king of Wollonga, he just do nothing the rest of the season. But we will see. Nobody knows, though. We don't know. Maybe at Trek, he's got Kenny Alessandro with him now. Really solid climbing domestique. We don't. Maybe he'll have a better season. I think he should probably focus on races that suit his power profile a little bit more and stop trying to go for GC. But that's just my opinion. Maybe the economics of, I guess, you know, you just look at where his position is, where he peaked sort of 2013, 2015. He was just one of the better riders in the world. And then since then, I guess it's all been downhill. If you look, we're looking at his pro cycling ranking position per year. You know, I don't know whether injuries are in there as well, and I guess he's moved teams, but where was he? So he was at BMC there. Yeah, no one did too well at BMC. Philippe Gilbert in his last 2 years at BMC, you compare that to how he goes. He went at Quickstep. Big difference, and I don't think Philippe Gilbert is going to go so well at Lotto Soudal. Moldy Trashy watching San Juan. It depends on what time it's on, maybe on the weekends. I'm not entirely sure. Probably won't do live streams for Vuelta a San Juan. Fire in your questions, guys, into the live chat. Obviously, the race is finished now. They're just doing interviews. Matthew Holmes, the winner. Who is Matthew Holmes? Let's have a look. But fire in your questions into the live chat. Any super stickers if you want. Don't have to, but if you want to, that'd be awesome. So we can buy Tour Down Under rights next year. Matthew Holmes, came from Madison Genesis in 2019. He raced last year Tour of Britain. No top 10 finishes, 15th on GC. Volta Limburg Classic, 31st. Tour de Yorkshire, he had 2 top 10 finishes on stage 3 and 4, and then he came 6th on GC. I don't know what Tokyo 2020 test event is. He came 4th in that. So, not too much for Matthew Holmes Palmares, and he's contracted with Lotto Soudal for this year, and now he's just won his first race. It looks like definitely his first World Tour race, that's for sure. I'm not sure if it's his first pro win, but wins on Wollonga Hill. So that's that's a pretty good feather in his cap. Wins on Wollonga Hill ahead of Richie Porte. So he sat on Richie Porte for the last minute, looked like to me. Sat on Richie Porte for the last minute and then gapped him at the end. Maybe Richie wasn't too fast, I guess. He knew he had GC sewn up, I think. Maybe they told him on the radio. But yeah, Holmes got on his wheel and finished really well. I presume he was in the breakaway that got caught on the last climb. True Blood Assassin, what channel is it on, mate? I can't find it. In Australia, it's on 7+, and in everywhere else, I think you can watch GCN Racing. If you're in America, I think you should have been watching NBC Gold, but you need a subscription for that. Chase Watkins, Port, I presume he's saying, he's still riding a pipe dream, let's move on. I agree. Same with Dan Martin, same with Jakob Fuglsang. Like, you don't need to... Not everyone needs to win the Tour de France. I know it's the pinnacle of the sport and whatever, but, you know, if you're better at other things, do other things. Focus on them. Demandred says Port could fit La Flèche Wallonne. Yeah, maybe he could in the Ardennes Classics, but Remco's winning those, Liège and Flèche Wallonne, so why would you turn up, I guess? Alex Perez, Nibali. Andres Salcedo says, is Nibali GC leader for Trek on Tour de France? Yep, he is. Should be. Should be Nibali, not Port, in my opinion. Magic, does the bike behind you ever get used? Yeah, I rode yesterday. Sometimes. Simon, what do you think of Rowan Dennis' performance? It was fine, but, you know, he's never going to win on Wollonga, I guess, or, like, yeah. it's hard for someone like him trying to compete with Richie Porte on Wollonga. And we just saw, as I showed you there, exactly the same thing happens. Let's rewind that. Like clockwork, every year they go through McLaren Vale on the flat, they do one lap of Wollonga, they let Richie Porte, Richie Porte goes, and that's all she wrote, really. He's just, for some reason, way too good on it. And even though MP won on GC last year, but Porte will be pretty happy with that. Owen Coleman, Matthew Holmes going to ride Sun Tour. Let's see what it doesn't say what his upcoming participations are, so I'm not entirely sure what Matthew Holmes is going to be doing. Aaron SB says Porte knew he had GC long before the finish when Impey died. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. Porte was quite a way back in the group, and they moved up pretty quickly. Absolute Cycling. Why don't they change the parcours of the Tour Down Under? I kind of agree with you. Like Australia, the Nationals is the same course every single year, same course. It seems to be at Buninyong, and Tour Down Under pretty much has the same stages every year. Like, why don't they just mix it up a little bit? I know it's more organisation, more administration, and all that, but yeah, if you got the finish on Wollonga every year, then only certain types of riders are going to win that, and I guess it suits having an Australian win it every year, Richie Porte, but yeah. Michael O'Brien saying, just imagine riding your first World Tour race ever. He's talking about Matthew Holmes, the Lotto Soudal rider who won the stage, who's on the screen right now. Imagine riding your first World Tour race ever and beating Richie Porte on Wollonga. Yeah, crazy, right? And like sitting on his wheel and then attacking him to win. He must have felt pretty good for Matthew Holmes. Mitchelton Scott leader for the Tour. I guess Yates. I'm not sure. Not sure exactly. Andres Sasodo Porte is way past his prime. I don't know, he looked pretty good. Yeah, so where's on podium right now? Is Simon Geschke on podium? I need to see. I think someone strange is going to be on the podium if it can. Top 10 of general classification. Wow. Top 10 is Richie Porte and then 25 seconds to Diego Ulissi for UAE Team Emirates. Really good result for him. Third, Simon Geschke. And then fourth, Rowan Dennis and Dylan Barval, both on 25 seconds. So they just missed out on the podium, or one of those two. And Darrell Impey falls off the podium, same as Simon Yates, down to 30 and 37 seconds. So I'm not sure, did Diego Ulissi get a time bonus earlier today or something? But yeah, wow. So no Mitchelton Scott on the podium or in the top 5. Trek, UAE and CCC. Simon Geschke are going to be pretty happy with that, actually. Ulissi has to be really happy with that for UAE. I mean, not a climber like Porte and co is. Even Simon Geschke is probably a better climber than him, but yeah. Leo Direct TV Leo says, are you going to comment, if so, if possible, during Tour of Colombia? By the way, I'll be racing the last stage before the pros start. I'm not sure if I'll have access to any form of stream for the Tour of Colombia. The ability for people overseas to watch that, I think, is difficult. I think the full stages get put on YouTube, and I'll be able to watch it then. So I will be doing analysis videos of the Tour of Colombia. They obviously, as Andres Sasodo says, they have the best commentators, they have the funniest. Chase Watkins says 10 watts just added to me, glasses on, correct. I don't want to put, I'll put the hat on, but I'm a bit hot right now. As I said, I just came in for playing cricket, so it's so hot in Brisbane. I don't think you understand how hot it is here and humid. Like, my headache is so bad, it feels like my eyes, I don't know, I feel terrible, but I'll do this for y'all. Anyway, Simon, will I do a review on Remco's performance in Vuelta a San Juan International? And let me ask a question in the live chat to you guys as well. What did you think of Caleb Ewan's headbutt on Philipsen? I will, if listen, I'm not an idiot. Come close. I'm not an idiot. If Remco does anything, if he sneezes, if he gets in a breakaway, if he looks at someone a bit suspiciously, if he does anything, if he gets out of bed in the morning half an hour too late, I will be covering it. Because it gets the clicks, and because I like following Remco Evenepoel. So you better believe, wave my Coke Zero can at you, you better believe that if Remco does something at Vuelta a San Juan, I'll be covering it. copyright notwithstanding. We'll see how that goes. Back to this. But Simon, who's from Norway, I presume, says, happy for Beastrom, go Norway. Aaron SB says, Froome will do better at UAE than he deserves to, but worse than he needs to, for PR scummy purposes to claim his back. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Anyway, I think in hindsight, so with that video, right, with the Caleb Ewan video, sometimes I do try and toe the line and maybe temper my opinion a little bit where I don't feel too strongly on things and where maybe I'm not as experienced. So I feel like GC mountain strategy, like I feel like I have that locked, like the optimal things to be doing in those scenarios in sort of in a GC mount in the mountains, etc. But maybe in sprints I don't exactly know where the line is on acceptable, aggressive, really unacceptable aggressive behavior, and I thought maybe maybe that bump from Caleb Ewan, maybe that sort of thing happens all the time, right? But then, so I didn't want to be like, say, because I thought, yeah, that bump was a bit over the top. And then, but then I didn't want people to come and say, oh, that's just sprinting, bro. That's just, what sprinters do. But no one's actually said that. And the majority of people from what you have, what people have commented is saying, yeah, Caleb Ewan it's unacceptable. You shouldn't be doing that, and you could have made him crash. So, like, what? Again, I think it also that stage yesterday that stemmed from the fact that he'd been dropped over the climb. I think he was on his limit. He'd lost the wheel of Kluger at that point, his lead-out man, which I think was his mistake, although I haven't seen the overhead shot. And he really probably wasn't going to contest the finish anyway, and didn't really. So maybe he was frustrated, whatever, and so the headbutt, I don't really have a problem with. The isolated lean headbutt, not going to cause a massive crash or whatever, usually. But moving off your line and shoulder charging someone at 70 k's an hour, like, not sure that's acceptable. So if he does that sort of shit in the Tour de France or whatever, I think they'll be looking in the Tour de France or whatever. If he's doing, like, moving off his line like that and trying to actually physically come into contact with other people on purpose at speed before a corner, it's not a great look. But then it's like someone linked a video of Jasper Philipsen who was, being aggressive with Gaviria, 2 years ago or whatever, and then Mordkov was having a go at Jasper Philipsen. I don't know. Maybe, Felix Newstead, $5. Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, if you want to do those little donations and comments and whatever, really appreciate it. But thank you, Felix Newstead. You paid for this Coke Zero. And without this Coke Zero, I probably wouldn't have had the sufficient caffeine to actually perform at the level I need to for this stream. Let's have a look. Aaron SB says, Remco is Jesus on two wheels. Lenkan says, look like a crit race. KDA says, seems unnecessarily aggressive. Camilo BTC Ordonez says, the season of Richie Port is over till the next year. I mean, harsh, but kind of funny and true. Mike Ray says, he won't get away with it since against better sprinters. And I agree. It's like, the thing I don't like about what Caleb Ewan did, right, is because I don't think he'd be doing that against Andre Greipel. Really, like, do you think he would have done that against Andre Greipel? Like, yeah, Caleb's the fastest, but I'm not sure he'd be pulling that against Bennett, because if he did that, someone from Quickstep the next stage would put him in the gutter. So, I think he's picking on Philipsen because he thinks, he's a young guy and UAE aren't going to do too much to him, which is kind of a bit, kind of sucks a little bit. But anyway, I have an announcement, seeing as we still have 150 people here. I have an announcement to make as well. So I'll make this on a video. I'll make sure it's a viral video when I make the announcement. But a lot of you have been asking me, where's the Rouge report? Where's that? And what's going on with it? And it was just supposed to be a pilot, the initial Rouge report, me in conjunction with Cycling Pulse. So I'll actually, and I think we have a different sort of a divergence in where we want to take the podcast. And the podcast was really successful in its, given how it hasn't been up for that long, and how I don't think I promoted it that hard. But given that I'm in Australia, I've got a new job. Given that, you know, Ollie Cycling Pulse, they're overseas, and in England it's hard. It's really hard to coordinate between two people, and I sort of do things on the spur of the moment, and it's hard to coordinate that when I just start live streaming and start doing X, Y, Z. So, and I guess I want to do race reviews and just race, you know, things like I want to talk about what just happened in the Tour Down Under, maybe for 30 minutes, just me monologuing. And I know that sounds, but I guess people do want to listen to that, you know, a description of what happened to the Tour Down Under for half an hour, 40 minutes, and not really an interview. So I think I'm going to be starting my own podcast called the Lanterne Rouge podcast. I'll be putting things like the audio from live streams or live stream reviews of stages up, and the Rouge Report will no longer be called the Rouge Report. I think Cycling Pulse will have that platform. I think it'll be called a different podcast, and they're going to be doing interviews with people in cycling. So I'm not too focused on doing interviews. For me, I don't have too much time. It's hard to coordinate things like that. I interviewed Liana Lippert, the Sunweb rider. I interviewed her on Friday, and it takes a lot of time to coordinate interviews. And maybe it's not always the most interesting content unless it's someone like a Froome or a big name. Whereas I think people will really like if I have 30 to 40 minutes, I can just talk to you, monologue about what I saw in the Tour Down Under, what it means, what we expect from Richie Porte for the rest of the season. And I think the majority of my audience and you guys actually you're here for the racing, right? Like, you are here for racing strategy, race reviews, all that sort of thing, as opposed to maybe like the narratives behind the cycle, which is interesting, but is less interesting, I guess, to me. So that's what's going to be happening. I'll be announcing that sort of on a proper video shortly, because the streams don't, 135 of you here, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I guess if there are 130 of you in this room, it'd be quite where you wouldn't fit. You wouldn't fit in my one-bedroom apartment. But thank you for your support. Thank you, Daniel Strauss. Daniel gave me some good advice as well, separately about this, and prompted me to make this announcement as well. Simmons says, keep podcasting, you'll blow up and get more attention and bigger guests. I agree. That's why I want to do it. I think if I make sure that I get the podcast rolling before Tour de France, then I think it'll be in pretty good shape. And, if I hit 5,000 downloads per episode before Tour de France, we'll be able to, I'll be able to make some money, just quietly. I know that sounds selfish, but it is what it is. Someone said who else said? Mike Race said, are you going to do watch-alongs during the classics? I'm going to be doing watch-alongs at least 2 hours. I'll brandish my Coke Zero at you. I'm going to be doing watch-alongs every classic Omloop E3 Harelbeke. If it's still called that, Gent-Wevelgem, obviously all the monuments, Ardennes Classics. I've got a list of the ones I'm going to be live streaming. Any of them on Sunday night, I'm going to be doing it. And the classics are going to be great to do watch-alongs for, because it's, it's one and done. So yeah, classics, I'll be doing these live stream watch-alongs. We've had like 200 people when Europe's asleep during Tour Down Under stages, when people don't even realise cycling's on. So we're going to get people in. We're going to have 500 deep during the classics. The live chat's going to be popping. It's going to be awesome. Anyway, I appreciate all your support, guys. Sorry I've gone on a little bit of a rant just for the last 10 minutes, but I thought, seeing as you're all here, it's basically as if you are literally with me live right now. So I thought I'd give you that update in person. But yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the donations and stickers and whatnot. Channel membership, I've got the emotes. Nathan's made them. If you watch my Caleb Ewan video, they are classic. And I know, again, sounds juvenile, but I think it is. I think they're so funny. Having like a Fabio Aru pain face to use in the live trades is hilarious. David Doffon says, I'm in Europe and I'm unawake. Well, you should go to sleep. It's so late. Last couple of questions. Camilo BTC Ordonia says, what do you think about MVP in Milan, Sanremo, Strada Bianca? I don't think MVP is going to win a monument, but I have been wrong before many times. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm going to go have a shower and a couple of Panadol because my head really hurts. And that was the Tour Down Under. Richie Porte's too good. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later. Have a good rest of the weekend. Bye.